The latest announcement that Star Wars Jedi Survivor will be coming to last gen is something that I take a lot of issue with, in particular because of how the game landed on the next-gen consoles. They seemingly left behind old gen, but just kidding, and how they largely abandoned and did not fix the game on PC. Now, my latest video is basically arguing that. If you want to walk through that video, it's a video where I looked at both what they're doing and where the game is apparently going with this last gen coming in September to the PS4 and the Xbox One. But I also examine how the game was treated on console, how the updates did or didn't happen, as well as how the game has been treated on PC. I even drew a comparison to the reception of Jedi Fallen Order on PC as well with the Steam scores, the number of scores, or review scores. So you're going to want to check that out because the games were largely viewed very differently, regardless of what you see in the marketing or from the Metacritic score or the review outlets. I firmly believe that the gaming press, fell victim to they'll fix this on the day one patch, and that it makes it look like games media and the review outlets largely failed us to let us know about a game that just was not ready for launch. Even the director did some strange interviews about how they could have taken more time, but he knew they didn't need it, which it's evidence that's just completely and utterly false. And then after getting the game ready, or at least in a playable state on console, he left the company and is now back at Santa Monica. So the video walks through a lot of details, why I fundamentally blame Disney for all of this, and how it's very, very much cautioning people against do not buy these last-gen ports. And if you're curious as to why, be sure to check out that video. And when you go and watch those videos, it helps you out. It lets you know what I think. And now it's time to hear what you think. So good morning and good afternoon and good evening, guys. Thank you so much for being here. You're well on your way with the goal, and somebody has thrown out a great idea for a stretch goal where we will see what Madam thinks playing Destiny as a brand new player on a Friday night, because a lot of people say it's terrible, and we'll see what she thinks if you guys can hit the stretch goal. So keep it coming. And thank you, everybody, for supporting that upload this morning. Every time we've talked about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, it hasn't really gone that well, and I'm not sure what the issue is. I don't know if people are just uninterested in games like this. Star Wars Outlaws has made a lot of headlines, and we've covered that quite a bit to really, really great response. And this game in particular, when we played it, and when we covered it, it was always very, very mixed response from the audience, and I'm not really sure why. But I wanted to make this video. This video was something I was very passionate about. I'm very, very passionate about the Jedi franchise. I thought Jedi Fallen Order was such an excellent treatment of Star Wars, with going back to Order 66 and ripping sort of a character from that time and creating their own side story. I think Cal Kestis is very cool. I think all the characters are very, very well done. One of my favorite characters, Trilla, from the first game. I would love to see her somehow make a comeback in the third game. I've even said it would be really cool to play a prequel as her, sort of her growing in her strength as someone with the dark side, and you could have really great cameos and really great sort of behind the scenes of what it looks like when somebody gets kidnapped and trained in the dark side. And she was just such a compelling character. So why so negative on the subject? Well, I'm negative on the subject because I really, really liked the first game, and the second game actually is a really, really great sequel. It's just mired in a bunch of performance problems. The game has never been particularly polished. Yes, they got performance mode working on console, but they largely abandoned the game on PC. It has never really truly been fixed. Beyond that, they went, the last 8 months roughly without doing a single update to the game. They've not really done any significant updates to the game on PC, so I take great issue with that. And then basically being like, oh, we're going to do a last gen version. Okay, well, what was the point in leaving behind last gen, right? And the only silver lining, as I said in the video, is that, well, maybe they added a bunch of next gen features that just don't run that well, and they can rip those out, because the first game did run on old gen, so they could basically strip it down and give you essentially an old gen version of the game that might run totally fine. So Gillip just put out a video, 4 hours hands-on with Space Marine 2, and he's impressed. Wait, is it a new video? Because he played it before. Did he get to play a newer version? Yes, he did 13 minutes ago. Okay, I really, really hope that all of my concerns are, somewhat unwarranted. So that's encouraging to hear. We may end up covering that tomorrow. We may end up covering Helldivers or the PS5 sales. There's a lot of different things, or the PS5 Pro. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things going on right now for us to potentially cover tomorrow. Let's take a look at some of the comments on the video. Guys, take a quick second. Go through the morning ritual. We're going to have to put this stream on our back with a slow start to the day. It always makes it really hard on the live stream. So smash the like button. Let's get 100 likes. It can really help the video find more folks. I do think it's important for people to know. I genuinely think this is like a PSA to say, look, this last gen version, you're going to want to wait for tech breakdowns and reviews. Do not buy this. I would love for Disney and EA to learn a lesson here, but sadly, I don't think that's going to happen because Star Wars is Star Wars. Cher Bruce Lee says, Kobo was the place you had the big issue. That's like the planet half the game is played. No way you could fight through that. It was just what people told me. I just had people tell me they pushed on to the rest of the game in the hopes that they would get better performance. But I agree with you. You do a bunch on Kobo. So Derek says, did anybody else get an advert? Hang on, let me make sure that it's not. Ads automator is turned off, so you guys should not be getting ads. I do not run ads when I'm live, largely because I think it's a terrible idea. They said they were going to experiment with putting ads in the chat, which I would be okay with running ads that way because you could continue to watch me. I don't like running ads in a live environment unless you take a break. And I don't think breaks are warranted when I only sit here for about 2.5 hours. When I used to stream for, 6 to 8 hours, it made more sense to take breaks. But Dave Langer said, did Disney force the game out too early before it was ready and force the game to be released on last gen? Pun intended, force. Edit, I posted this too early before you mentioned the end of your video. So, I don't know about Disney being to blame for old gen being left behind. I actually don't know about that. And Han shot first, and so did you, Stone Spire, with the first gifted member of the day. Thank you so much. Taking things to 203. If I know Stone Spire, I know what he's doing. He's hoping there's a 20-bomb dunker in the chat. He's going to want to tantalize somebody. I know Stone Spire's style. John, I don't know if Disney was like, get this game out. There's another one from Stone Spire. He's wanting to take this to 205. He's hoping somebody will slam dunk the 20 bomb to take us to 225, and then I will owe 5 members. So thank you, Stone Spire. Guys, really quickly, let's just get 10 more likes on the video. I'm reading comments that you guys have left on the upload. Thank you for doing that. And John always said, enjoyed the first game, but stayed away from the sequel when you highlighted the disappointing PC performance. I don't see myself picking it up 18 months after release unless it's fixed and heavily discounted. Good on you for that. And another one from Stone Spire takes us to 205. There it is. There's the layup from Stone Spire. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I mean, in general, I think that's good on you. And I know that's hard because it's such a, it is a good game. It is good story. It's good combat. It's good systems. They really did what you want in a sequel. They expanded on the combat. They expanded on the world. They expanded on the gameplay mechanics that the player is able to utilize, your different stances, your different abilities. But then they also, I felt like they did a great job expanding on the story. They expanded on the characters. I think they did a really, really good job with all of those things. It's very easy to miss the mark with sequels in that regard, and I felt like they did a really, really good job. And it's just unfortunate that all signs point to, the game came out too early. That's the problem. The problem wasn't that the developers, they had great vision, great ideas. They had good implementation of those ideas. It's just that the game came out too early. They needed at least another year to polish it. Yesterday, I was seeing Destiny live that I lost. I had ads every 5 minutes, really annoying. You were watching my stream and getting ads every 5 minutes? That can't be true. There's no way that was happening. I have all that turned off. I don't think I've run ads in a live stream for over 2 years. We experimented with it one time. I don't think it's worth it They would have to prove to me definitively that it's worth it, because it always ends up hurting the video and the viewer experience. It's like everybody loses. It's like it hurts my video, and then it hurts the viewer experience. It's like, what are we doing here? Alapark says, it's unfortunate that it's taking a last-gen port to potentially get PC fixed. I agree with you. I think it's very frustrating. Cassie Rollins left a comment, and he says, oh, I'm sorry, probably Casey. I played the game on my Series X day one. I 100%ed all the achievements within 2 weeks. I never had any of the issues everyone said they were having. I know PC had issues, but on console, it was a perfect game. This is just not true. You likely played on quality mode and just didn't notice. The issues were documented. The issues were documented. That's something that I get so tired of when a game has measurable problems and someone's like, oh, it ran fine on my Xbox. It ran fine on my PlayStation. I'm like, no, you don't have a special console. You either have a television that hid some of it from you with like VRR, or you ran it on quality mode, or your TV's old enough that like you're just used to lower performance. You just don't notice it. You play games at 30 FPS. It's simply untrue that the game was perfect when it launched. That just isn't true. And here's the thing. It has good review scores on Xbox and it has good review scores on PlayStation, and that's precisely why. A bunch of people boot up the game, play on quality mode, and they're playing on either older technology, older TVs, and they just don't notice. Either that, or they've never switched off of quality mode. They always play their games on quality mode, and they're just okay with 30 FPS. When you ran the game on quality mode, all the problems were far less noticeable. You're not going to notice screen tearing, hitches, or snags if you're accustomed to like literally old gen frames per second performance. You're not going to notice those things. You're only going to notice the performance issues and the screen tearing and the frame drops when you actually are trying to push next gen performance. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm jealous of you. If you played through Jedi Survivor and you didn't see a single problem and you had a great time, I'm genuinely jealous of you. It was unplayable. It was bad. I remember I jumped down into it was like a new area. And as I jumped down, it was like hitch, and then it hitched when I went to move once I was on the ground. It was like in a matter of seconds, the entire game like snagged. This wasn't like a little frame snag here or there when I went into a brand new area. It was like the entire game was hitching and snagging. It wasn't minor. You know, and again, I have to wonder is if people playing on quality mode, people that just are okay with 30 FPS, just didn't see any of it. CX saved my experience. I'm not sure what you mean. It was crap on PC, and that's someone with a 3070 40K. Yeah, even if you had a good system, you couldn't get good performance out of the game on PC for the most part. There were some people that had okay performance on PC, but largely it got a terrible score because of that. Henry Heck leaves a comment here on the upload and says, but it ran great on my Series X. It's so funny. He's literally saying that just after somebody just said that. The whole development cycle of this game was weird, and now to retroactively put it on last gen version when the current gen and PC isn't performing great doesn't look good for them at all. Exactly. I you know, why leave it behind? Why leave last gen behind only to go back there anyway? Lido says, hopefully you won't have to make a video like this about Outlaws in the future. From all fronts, movies, shows, games, we Star Wars fans are being treated like butt lately, and the quality of their products. This is a Disney problem for sure. It's a Disney problem for sure. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel the same thing about Star Wars Outlaws that I felt about Jedi Survivor. It feels like the release date came out of nowhere. Oh, the CX is an LG television. Okay. So you probably had like, did you turn on VRR or something? VRR really only helps if the frame dips are minor. It doesn't help with what was going on in Jedi Survivor. I have a really nice TV and I turned all those things on and it didn't make a difference. It really, really didn't. It did not make a difference at all. It was blatantly obvious that there were problems with the game's performance, and it was, to me, it was unplayable. It was like, this looks so bad. It ripped me right out of the game. It made combat even worse because it was like, this combat is really good. It's moment to moment. It's fun. It's intense. And you're landing big hits and parries and stuff and blocks. It was rough. Could they be re-releasing this just to help fund the game? I mean, it was the 9th most sold game in North America last year, but Hamburglar, I kind of like that theory that I don't think it had the commercial success they were hoping for. They marketed the snot out of this game. Everywhere I looked, there was a Star Wars Jedi Survivor trailer. Everywhere I looked, there was one. And they likely spent more money, had a bigger budget, and invested more in the game. And all you got to do is look at Steam to know that it did not sell as well on Steam as the first game. The first game has like tripled the number of reviews. That's likely indicative of a giant difference in the number of people that bought it and or kept it. When you have like 130,000 reviews for the first game and like less than 50,000 for the second, it's like, dude, you clearly failed here commercially. Now, it did well on console, but number one, you're dealing with people that, again, either played on quality mode or they're accustomed to, older gen performance, especially if they played the first game on old gen. That would be something that wouldn't bother them. And they can't refund the game. So I know firsthand, there are people in this community, they just push through the performance issues, and they're like, the game was good, the story was good, it kind of made up for it. They just push through, They're like, yeah, it was okay. I was able to survive. I was able to tolerate it. What, cash grab? They're bringing Star Wars Jedi Survivor to last gen, and I'm calling it a cash grab. The way this game has been treated, I think, is embarrassing. It launched on console before it was ready. They've largely ignored major issues on PC. It's gone 8 months without a patch on PC. It has a 66% overall score on PC, down from like an 88% for the first game. It's a joke. This game should not have been treated this way. Dude with the drum set says, I enjoyed playing this on PS5 when it launched. It was wonky, but not enough to make me want to stop playing. A lot of people felt that way. Not me. I couldn't do it. A lot of people felt that way. I could not do it. It was so bad. I was like, I don't know how people are pushing through this. I truly don't. Space Marine 2 videos are out. Skill Up, Jack Frags, and Force Gaming. They're okay. So they're all of the are they, is it another, wait, oh no, that's right. The hands-on thing they did was like last year, was it not? I think it was like last year. So they must have done a new preview capture event. Yeah. That to me is encouraging. It's like, okay, they must be pretty confident in the game then. I was worried. I was like, I don't know, Space Marine 2, it looks ambitious. It looks like it's going to struggle with performance, and then they canceled their beta to focus on optimization. Henry Heck says, I'd want to enjoy the whole spectacle in current gen. Performance, loading, visuals, action, and story. I'd have to have to push through. Oh, you don't want to have to push through, I think is what you're trying to say. I'm in complete agreement with you. I have to agree with you. It's like, I don't want to do that with this gen. I've played too many games that have been perfectly fine. It's like, I'm not going to push through and deal with this. Gaming is doomed. I talked a little bit about that this morning in my morning coffee segment. I don't think gaming is doomed. I think that's a really, really great talking point for YouTube videos right now, but I don't think that it is true. There has been a very, very consistent cadence of high-quality games, award-winning games. Everybody focuses on the bad games and the flops to try to paint a picture that the industry is failing or flopping or dying, and it's like, we have more games quantitatively than we ever have, which will then naturally raise the quantity of bad games, right? It's like back in the day when there were far less games releasing, there were still flops. There were still disasters. You've just increased the quantity of games releasing, and subsequently when you do that, you're going to increase the quantity of bad games. Like if you've ever worked, for a business at a certain size, there's one or two employees that everybody knows are kind of lazy or not so great. And if you take that company size and you triple it you're not going to suddenly have less lazy or less bad workers. You're probably going to have more. And I think that's what's been happening, is there's just been such a steady cadence and such an increase in the quantity of game releases. You're seeing games like Jedi Survivor and others come out far too early, and those are the games that everybody runs to be like, yeah, the industry's doomed. But they'll ignore the games that are getting high praise and getting nominated and getting, well, good reviews. I saw a channel literally say live service games are killing the industry, and then one of their next videos was talking about the triumph of Helldivers 2. And it's like, well, but I thought live service games were killing the industry. If that were true, then why was Helldivers 2 so popular? Why did it make so much money? Right? Gaming is not doomed. We just need to keep certain big companies from the continuation of pushing stuff out before it's ready. I think that's a very, very well-stated and measured take. It's more about calling foul and saying stop putting out games when they're not ready. And I think if consumers could return games and get refunds on consoles, it would be a good first step. I don't think it would completely eliminate it, but it would be a good first step. Jedi Survivor likely would have still done very well commercially, but at the very least, there still would have been a percentage of people on console that could have said, this is running so poorly, I would like my money back. Like, to me, that is just step one. That's one good step to basically say, we're not going to allow this anymore. Or at the very least, we're going to have a response as consumers that isn't just running to Twitter or Reddit to yell. It would be like, no, we're getting our money back. I played your game for an hour and a half and it had lots of problems. I'm done. Now, obviously, you would have games then that would focus on ensuring that the first couple of hours are, severely polished, and then that could end up leading to games that suddenly like, after the 2-hour mark, it gets really, really bad. Sure. But in general, I think that would be a very strange allocation of bandwidth, resources, and attention. I think that'd be very difficult to do anyway. Games aren't really built that way. You can't be like, well, let's make sure the first 2 hours are great and then everything else is bad. Like that, you really, like with Jedi Survivor as an example, you can't like optimize the game just for the first 2 hours. The optimization issues, the performance issues, when they went back and reworked performance mode, it affected the entire game, not just like a slice. So I don't think that would be necessarily possible for game companies to do that. Now, certainly they could focus on their QA and their bug finding and stuff primarily on the beginning of the game. That certainly could be something that happens. But in general, things like performance issues and like games running terribly or not launching with 60 FPS modes or, barely being able to, hit 60, that's not something you can isolate as easily in a game. They optimize for the quality mode, that's clear. Yeah, but even in the quality mode, Treble, I turned on the quality mode and I could still see the problems. Again, I just wonder if you're accustomed to quality mode, if you're accustomed to 30 FPS, is it just less noticeable? You just see it as like, yeah, I mean, I saw it here or there. It's just not that big of a deal. Like, I'm trying to enter the mind of a person whose preferences are, I'm okay with old-gen performance, and if they're okay with old-gen performance, or they don't even know what I'm talking about, they're probably not looking for the things that I'm seeing, right? I immediately see when a game's performance is not great. I immediately was catching, like, the frame drops in Elden Ring's DLC when we were fighting that boss. I was like, dude, did you guys see that? Like, all these stutters, all these frame drops, all these clear issues with there's just too much going on. Same with Rise of the Ronin. Rise of the Ronin, I couldn't overlook it. And I remember having a conversation with Kirk, and he was like, oh, no, do this or that, or the latest patch seems to make things better. And I'm like, no, it's basically the same. Again, I think that just comes down to some people don't see it as much. Now, that could be a me problem, but it's undeniable that this game was largely abandoned and not polished on PC. The score represents that, its commercial success on PC represents that, and the fact that the last patch they pushed out for this was in January, and it was to, like, add a couple features. So, I played on quality mode and didn't have issues until I got deeper into Kobo, says Silent Spartan. It was a bit sketch, as I recall. My playthrough definitely got me at forcing through it. And I don't have any problem with you doing that because to a certain point, Jay Reinhardt, you don't really have a choice sometimes. You're like, well, I want to know what happens. I want to find out what goes on in this story. And you know, if you're willing to push through and deal with it, I actually don't have any problem with that. I don't. I don't like a review process that is set up in such a way where review outlets are like, yeah, there were some performance issues, but there's likely going to be a day one patch, and then the day one patch doesn't really resolve, you know, virtually anything. Kevin left a comment on the video. He says, they said it was coming to last-gen consoles when it was in development. You can check the wiki page. No, that's not true. This was revealed after the release. I covered the game extensively. They never once said before the game came out that it was going to come to last gen. That is simply untrue. After it came out, it was revealed in an interview that they were going to be doing that. Now, the game was delayed, so it is possible that he's maybe in between the original release date and the delayed release date, maybe they said that. But when I covered this game, that was like news to me. I was like, wait, what? They're bringing this to old gen? And that was months after that the game had been out. That wasn't something that they like talked about in the marketing. And even still, it doesn't excuse the way that the game launched. It doesn't. That's somewhat irrelevant to the discussion. It's like, does it really matter if, like, a passing remark in an interview before the game came out, somebody said, oh yeah, we're working on old gen ports? I swear to you, the timeline was the game came out, and it was like a month or two later that they said that, because I remember we were questioning it. We're like, you're not even able to get the game to run well on next gen. Why would you do that? I remember that announcement landing kind of strangely. It was like, you guys haven't really even updated the console version. Why would you plan on bringing it to old gen? I grit my teeth and pushed through the last section, says Gale Windforce, and I found that those were the roughest. I enjoyed it, but it was not polished. PC performance aside, I don't see an issue with a release to last gen. I do. I see an issue with it. I think that consumers should know this game launched before it was ready and was treated poorly on PC. They should know that. They have every right to know that. They should know that it came to console, had issues that took 5 months to resolve. They should know that on PC, its score and commercial response has been very poor. If you're going to buy this game when they bring it to last gen, you should know all of that. Because what that should cause you to do is it should cause you to pump the brakes and say, well, wait, I don't know if I want to, this game might not run well. This might quite literally be a cash grab. If they don't care about performance, you know, we've had evidence of games doing this with Cyberpunk, bringing a game to old gen that has no business being there. Another comment on the video from Alexander Smith says, despite having a PS5, this game disappointed everyone performance-wise. Won't be buying it unless it's $10. Hoping it is passable so more can play it. But I'm doubtful. I'm hoping it's passable. Like, there's a part of me that's like, you know what? I hope it's passable. I hope it runs fine. I hope it runs okay. But that's only because I want more people to experience the story, because I think it's a good story. And I think as I said in the video, it's not just a good sequel. I think it's a great sequel. I think they did a great job with the game. That information isn't hidden, though. Anyone on those platforms would have seen this release last year, so they can see its reviews and performance issues. Here's the problem, Gale. If you go to Metacritic, it has an 85. If you see any of the advertisements, it's got 9.5s and 10s all over it. You know, the average consumer is not going to know about these issues. Look, you can go to the Xbox store or the PlayStation store right now, and it has a good score. It does. And I think that's unfortunate, because I think that, again, is demonstrating that a significant portion of the people who bought next-gen consoles are not even remotely turning on performance mode, or they're not even remotely paying attention to issues like this. They're not. Does that make sense? Like, I think the review scores on PlayStation and Xbox demonstrate that. You know what it demonstrates? It demonstrates everything that I said today. It's a good game. It's a great sequel. Look at the review scores on PlayStation and Xbox storefronts. Those are people that are just less likely to know and notice performance issues. And they did patch it, so maybe the score went up. I don't remember checking the score at the time on PlayStation or Xbox when the game first came out. You know, maybe that patch came out after 5 months and helped it rebound. I don't know, because as a game, it was the 9th most sold game in North America last year, which could mean it just continued to get sales throughout the year, and more of those people were helping pull the score up. It does not have a bad score on either of those platforms. And that's exactly what my frustration was. It was like, this is a good game. Like, this is a good story. There's really creative things in it. And I try so hard not to go into those things because I know a lot of people are going to end up playing this game late. They're either on old gen or they've been holding off. UK Gamer says, it certainly seems weird and almost disingenuous to bring it to old gen when the PC still needs a lot of work. I played on PS5 and had no issues that I noticed, but I'm one of those weirdos who prefer playing my games on graphics mode, and I'm aware the issues lay mainly in performance. Yeah, he said, awesome upload, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think that is, again, one of the issues, that a lot of people just played on that graphics mode, and it hit a lot of the issues. Which is unfortunate because the same thing happened with Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 in quality mode, the people that played there had zero complaints. I played it in performance mode and I was like, oh, this is terrible. You know, these are two examples of games that are really, really good games that seemingly get a pass on performance issues because so many people just play in quality mode. I agree with you, but could it possibly be that people have older TVs and maybe don't know how to set them up properly to run with the new generation? Dude, some TVs come with terrible HDMI cables. I bought a Hisense TV from my wife from Costco so that we could play Returnal together, and the HDMI cable that it came with was terrible. Returnal didn't look right. Certain features weren't available to me. I was like, what is going on? And Eugene was like, try a different HDMI cable. And I was like, really? I was like, okay. Swapped HDMI cables, everything changed. The picture looked better. All these features were suddenly available because it realized I was sending it, you know, a high resolution image or whatever it was. I don't even remember what the features were. They were like resolution, color, and refresh rate options that suddenly became available to me. So it quite literally could be that some people are like running in a similar scenario. They're running on some HDMI cable. They run it on quality mode and they're like, looks good to me. I have no issue with it. You know, they've upgraded their console, but they haven't looked into either their TV settings, or the HDMI cable that they're using. Like, if I wasn't a streamer, I would have thought that there was something wrong with that Hisense TV. Now, I think eventually I would have thought, let's just try for the sake of science. Let's just try, you know, another HDMI cable. But goodness gracious, it can dramatically affect your experience of a game. Why would anybody use a TV HDMI cable instead of the HDMI cable that came with the console? I mean, I just took the one that came with the television. I just plugged it in the back, plugged it into my PlayStation, because I've got HDMI cables here in the office that I use for my capture cards, and I didn't want to move them. I thought, well, I'll just use this one. You buy a brand new 4K television, I don't think they're going to give me a crap HDMI cable. It wasn't like I pulled one out of a box from years ago, or, you know, one that had been stepped on or cracked or something, or cut. It was like, I just bought this brand new television that's with a beautiful picture when you're in the store. I would never have guessed they give you a bad HDMI cable. Console cable might not have been long enough. I mean, that's true too. That's true. Again, I had my HDMI cables in here plugged into capture cards. Like, again, think about what you're saying, Lone Wolf. The average consumer has no reason to be suspicious of an HDMI cable that came with their television. Like, well, I don't know, this thing might be a piece of crap. It's like, I don't think that's a reasonable expectation of the consumer to be like, well, I just bought this very beautiful television at the store. It looked like a dream when I was there. And when I get home, I better take this HDMI cable they provided me and just throw it in the trash. You know, I don't know. Some people move consoles between TVs and don't change HDMI cables and just use whatever they have on hand. That's exactly what I was quite literally doing. That's literally the situation that you had with me. I got a main TV, I got 2 capture cards in here, and then I added another TV to my setup. So it was like, oh, I'll just use the one that it came with. It's Hisense. I'm not surprised. I've had no issues with the television. It's a great television. I'll tell you one thing. That that thing you can do with your phone, what's that called when you project with your iPhone? I forget what that's called. I'll tell you what, my Samsung would never work, and the Hisense worked first try. I mean, I know the Samsung's a better TV with a better picture, but that Hisense TV was a bargain. It's got a great picture. I've had no problems with it, and it's got a feature on it that, and I'll tell you this as well. Its software runs better. Its software runs faster. The Samsung software, I don't like it. It's bloated. They inlay sponsored ads on my home bar. I go to do things and it's all delayed. They finally made it to where you can close your video streaming apps, because for the longest time I would back out and it wouldn't do it, and then eventually I'd have to literally unplug my television because apps wouldn't work. Yeah, AirPlay. Yeah, I love my Samsung TV, but there's some serious issues with the software and navigating it. It's not designed well. They did some firmware update a while ago, and now again, if you can firmly close the video apps, which is insanely helpful. The chances of you updating that software is not very high. No, it updates on its own. Yeah, I think the Hisense is very good for the price. I feel like I got a great deal because it's a secondary TV. It's not like our main. Do HDMI cables go bad over time? I mean, if they're getting like pinched and bent, the inside could potentially fray. If the metal at the end is getting pulled in and out, I mean, that could maybe add issues with your connectors. Generally though, no, a cable doesn't just like go bad. Unless you've got it in an area where there'd be moisture or something that might be causing corrosion, or even dust buildup wouldn't be that big of a deal. You would just blow that off. It's the same with Sony TVs, lag and the apps problems with the Bravias. Yeah. I love the Samsung TV, but the UI and the app management sucks. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And then when they pushed out a firmware update, it suddenly my Ethernet cable didn't work. So I had to connect through Wi-Fi to download the Samsung update. It was really weird. Like my Ethernet cable port just stopped working in the TV. Does Samsung not just run on Google TV? I don't know what it runs on, Eugene, but I don't like it. It's not about being suspicious. To me, it's just about using the cable that came with the console for that console. I have never thought about doing otherwise. Well, and again, it just depends on the setup, Lone Wolf. It just depends on the setup. A lot of people are going to bring that television home and be like, I'll just use the cable that it came with. From the guy that works with electrical circuits and cables, often the only reason they go bad is if an external force interacts with them, such as water or rodents or humans. Yeah, it would be weird for a cable just to be like sitting there and just going bad over time. There's not a natural deterioration effect on them. Now, yeah, obviously in 100 years, if the apocalypse happens and you wander into a home and you suddenly get the electricity working again, well, yeah, some of those HDMI cables might not work because they would just naturally deteriorate over time. But that's not going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen to us. It might happen to our grandchildren's children or something. Hilly says, he leaves a comment on the video, I find it hard to keep an open mind now with new games. When Anthem launched, I pre-ordered months in advance. Since that moment, I've moved so far to the other side. Now, if the company wants to sell me a game, I need evidence from multiple sources with raw gameplay. It's not just EA. So many AAA are guilty. I've moved past any kind of FOMO now, and unless I think the game is worth it, I just don't buy. Jedi Survivor is a classic example of a game 4 to 5 years ago I would have pre-ordered on console, and they launched it broken. They don't value their product, so neither will I. I think that's a good take. Good take, Hilly. I think it's a fair take, I think it's a fair take. There's a lot of reasons right now to be skeptical. Now, again, I don't want to give over to the industry is doomed. I find that dialogue to be generally unhelpful. But largely, I think being skeptical of the AAAs and waiting, I think it's perfectly fine. We're hearing good reports about Space Marine 2 today. Okay, great. Like, I hope that I was completely wrong in all of my concerns. And I never said the game was going to be bad. I was just like, this is another one of those games that looks concerning. It looks to me like all the classic markings of a game that's going to struggle with performance. You got a bunch of stuff going on the screen. You got a, really fast-paced combat. You got a lot going on. That could be an issue, And they canceled their beta, and people that were at the preview event last year said there were some issues. So hopefully what people are playing now is a genuine representation of the game and not some very well-optimized, polished vertical slice, that doesn't represent the game. Oh, all the previews are on PC? Well, then, okay, that's not as compelling then. That's helpful information. If all the previews coming out are like, yo, this game's awesome, and they're all on PC, yeah, the issue would still then be, like, did you guys manage to get this thing optimized for console? Because on PC, you could be dealing with people with really, really strong rigs that can make up the difference. Now, poorly optimized games, it doesn't matter how great your PC is. You'll have performance issues. Like if you have a CPU bottleneck issue like we had with Dragon's Dogma 2, it didn't matter how strong your rig was. So, it could still be good signs that they got things in a good way, if it's running well on a variety of PC configurations. Skill Up said online was not working properly. That should be just par for the course for a preview, though, should it not? I would not expect online to work properly for a preview. A lot of time, none of that stuff's been turned on yet, or it's not been properly tested, or, I don't know, the infrastructure is not ready, because they usually don't spin that stuff up until the game launches. Guys, take a quick second. We've been live for about 40 minutes. Smash that like button, man. Good, strong turnout today. I actually wasn't sure about this topic, but I really wanted to put it on people's radar. The upload's doing just fine. You guys threw your support behind that this morning. Thanks for the likes and the comments on the upload. And now that you're hanging out in the live show, do the same thing, man. Hit that like button. Say good morning in the chat. You need to be subscribed to say good morning. And Stone Spire got us started off. He got us a 205. You guys got a great start on the week. You're well on pace to hit the goal to turn Friday night into community game night. And that if you guys hit the stretch goal, you can watch my wife try out Destiny as a brand new player, and we'll see what she thinks. When's Wukong coming to Xbox? No one knows. Online was supposed to work in the preview. Oh, that's interesting. That's rare for a game to let you test online in a preview. They normally don't want you doing, or they normally don't really push for that. That stuff's usually disabled. Unless, of course, it's an online game, like when I went to an Anthem capture event. That was obviously different. Black Myth Wukong has still not shown any PS5 gameplay yet. I thought that the people that previewed it and played it said they played on PS5. Maybe I'm misremembering or thinking of another game. And a gifted member comes in from Patrick Q. Thank you so much. Moving us a little bit closer to me having to gift some members back to you guys. Thank you so much for doing that, Patrick Q. Astrobot looking good. Astrobot does look good. I actually think Astrobot's going to end up on the Game of the Year podium. I think it's going to I think it'll ultimately lose to Final Fantasy, but I think Astrobot gets a Game of the Year nom. I think it might take a couple other categories. It's looking like it's just going to hit that. It's going to hit that note where a broad spectrum of people like it, and that really helps in the voting process when like all these outlets, think it's great. I think it's harder for sports games and car games and stuff because they hit a more narrow market. There's co-op mode and 6v6 PvP, so I'm assuming they'll have it working at launch. Well, I forgot about that. That makes sense to have Space Marine 2 letting you test online because of the co-op aspects, for sure. There have been people playing Wukong on PS5. Yeah, I thought we heard from people that had played Wukong on PS5 and were like, it's running well. Didn't we recently see a rash of tweets about its performance on PS5? I might be, again, I could be misremembering. There's a bunch of games out right now where we're getting previews and snippets and leaks and everything else. This guy left a comment on the video about Star Wars Jedi Survivor last gen port is a cash grab, and he says, it's a stuttery mess. I played on my 1660 Super Ryzen 3100 machine, and it was horrible. It is not at all possible to play without using frame gen mods, and it's barely playable. Hoping the patch next month helps. I really do. I hope the PC patch for Jedi Survivor next month helps, because a lot of people want to play it. I remember being incredibly bummed. I was like, dude, I want to play this game, and it took them 5 months to where I could go back and play it. So I feel bad for the I feel bad for the PC guys. That's true, but I want to see gameplay. I mean, I want to see gameplay as well, but if there's one thing Black Myth Wukong has not been shy about, they've shown more gameplay than anybody. 1660 is ancient at this point. Oh, I didn't even realize that he said a 1660. Oh, let me edit my comment. I hope the patch next month helps. Might be time for a new GPU though. Yeah, that I totally glided right over that. Yeah, it might be time for a new GPU, homie. Here's somebody saying, he says, I saw a lot of people worried about Black Myth Wukong running bad on PS5. I can confirm the PS5 version is very optimized. The dev kits were also at Gamescom. 1440-60 and 2160-30. That sounds perfectly fine to me. Sad to have missed that discussion. Your Destiny video was very good. Oh, thank you, Lightleap. Thank you. I tried to go pretty broad with it, like essentially getting at the heart of the issue is that the game needs some type of a reset. Either there's like three roads, right? You either go all the way back to a D1 remake, and that's your way of resetting, completely reset D2, or go forward and completely reset with a D3. You gotta, if you don't do that, then I don't think there's any hope. I don't think there's any hope for them getting anything out of the IP. And I think PlayStation will value the IP enough to do something with it. What was so wrong with Survivor? You're the only person I know that says it wasn't playable at launch. I'm the only person. Digital Foundry said it was the worst port of last year on PC. So that's just, not true. There were plenty of people who talked about how bad it was. And on console, I think the problem is that if you play it in quality mode, it's tolerable. If you played it in performance mode, it was terrible. So anybody who bought it on PC, it's got a terrible score on PC, so you got to include all those people, and they all agree with me. Unplayable, bad, just a joke. Just because people played it on next-gen consoles at quality mode and it ignored the issues or couldn't notice the issues doesn't make my perspective incorrect. I think my perspective has been totally fair about that game. Define playable? Right, like being able to push through consistent performance issues, I would define that as, no, that's unplayable. I don't agree. Like when I say unplayable, I don't mean like it's so buggy and glitchy I cannot advance. No, I would argue that's broken. If a game is broken, then you just can't play it. When I say a game is unplayable, the issues are so pervasive that I'm not going to play. This is unplayable. It's so pervasive. It's so constant. It's constantly happening. That's unplayable to me. Now, to you, unplayable might mean, oh no, it's got to be completely broken to use that word. Okay, if you want to say that it was playable or tolerable or passable, I refuse to have such a low bar. Like, I refuse to have such a low bar. It is a 67% on Steam. It's got like a roughly 1/3 of the review total. Roughly 1/3 of the review total on Steam. It did so poorly on Steam compared to the first game. Your ability to either push through or you just don't see it and so you don't care, that's fine. That has nothing to do with the fact that this game, left behind old gen, launched with the performance mode that was so broken they had to completely rebuild it 5 months later, and it's so bad on PC that people basically didn't even try to complete it. They just refunded it. It's got way less review scores, it has a very bad score, and the pervasive and foundational issues have never been addressed. You're like, well, I didn't notice it. I played on quality mode. I don't want this to sound dismissive and disrespectful, but there's going to be an air of dismissiveness with this. If you're okay with playing games at 30 frames per second, then I'm not necessarily going to want to listen to your input on how a game's performing. Right? Like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's like, if you're like, oh, I don't mind 30 FPS, well, then I'm not really going to come to you for an assessment on how a game's performing. Right? Like, what does that make sense? You're accepting old gen performance because they turn on high resolution and pretty lighting. Like, I'm not there with you. You can't speak to a game's performance if you're willing to accept old gen performance. I mean that. I'm not trying to be mean or trying to be dismissive. It's like, if I want to know how a game is performing, I'm not going to go to the guy who's like, well, I play at 30 and I think it's fine. It's like, well, I'm not going to come to you for an assessment of a game's performance. You're not giving me any good information. You don't spend months fixing a performance mode if it was fine. Exactly. And I think the issue is a bunch of these games did one of two things. They either bit off way more than they could chew because they wanted to make the game really pretty and it made the performance mode a disaster, or they just were not accustomed and didn't even consider performance mode from the very beginning, because with a game like this, I mean, who knows? They might have primarily been building off of old gen ideas because it was originally an old gen game. To me, I think it's far more likely that these studios get too ambitious with lighting, resolution, textures, and other effects, and then the performance mode is like carrying the weight of that. And it's like, no, you didn't optimize for 60. You were trying to get these things to look pretty. And I mean, I had to stop playing Tears of the Kingdom because of 30 FPS. I couldn't do it. I literally helped my son with Kena Bridge of Spirits for like 5 minutes, and I went back to my game, and I was like, I can't do this. It looks terrible. It really does. Can't wait for Black Myth Wukong playthrough. What a time to be alive. If you wait a little bit, True King, I'll open up Q&A to all members, and you can ask me about pretty much any gaming topic. We don't rigidly stay on topic unless the topic is so burning hot, like when we were talking like Destiny, or if we get into like Xbox's future, or, things like that tend to go the distance. Victor Mayhem says, I think people's tolerability of quality issues vary widely. It's akin to what it takes to return a meal to the kitchen at a restaurant. Would someone who ordered a steak medium or medium rare return it if it was well done? Some will just eat it. Others want what they ordered. I actually, not just because it's a food analogy, but I think that's a very good analogy into like what people are willing to overlook because they're just there to have a good time, or they don't want to cause a fuss, or again with video games, they're like, yeah, I'm just not concerned. They're like, I'm just not concerned. I'm just here to have a good time, dude. You give me a lightsaber and you give me people to chop down and you give me a decent story, and they're like, yeah, I'm good with that. They're going to say, yeah, I'm good with that. I don't need the game to blow my mind with respect to, performance and other things. So it's like, okay, that's fine, And again, like I said, I'm not coming to somebody who tolerates 30 FPS and being like, yo, give me the lowdown on this game's performance. I wouldn't trust your judgment. That's just my own assessment. It's like, my priority's this, your priority's this. We're not aligned. So your feedback and input's not helpful to me, right? Like, it goes both ways. Are you going to really care what I say if I'm like getting persnickety and I'm like, dude, there's frame drops and there's stutters and there's issue with screen tearing? You're probably going to be like, yeah, I'm not like you, Lono. I don't care about that stuff. I'm just having a good time. We're having a good time. Lone Wolf says, despite my positive experience, it doesn't invalidate your experience. Lone Wolf says, I played it on the Series X, didn't notice the issues on performance mode. That doesn't invalidate Lono's opinion. A lot of people notice the issues as well. And listen, maybe the issues were worse on PS5. I don't know. I never watched a breakdown of a comparison of this game at launch between the two systems to know if maybe the Series X was less severe. I don't know. I would have played it there. If that would have been at the time, I would have played it there because I was dying to play the game. And I remember watching somebody's clip and being like, no, it's still just as bad. I think it was on Twitter. Someone was like, no, yeah, it's better on Series X. And I was like, if it is, I will literally go buy it there because I want to play the game so bad. And I went to Twitter and somebody had uploaded their own footage, and I was like, no, this looks bad everywhere. The screen tearing and the stutters and the hitches were bad on both consoles. This guy left a comment. All I'm hearing is crying. It is good this game's coming to last gen. I'm going to get it on my Xbox One S. Crying. Yes. Holding a company accountable for a rushed launch is crying. I mean, you might as well just put a sign around your neck that says you're a sucker, you know? I'm a sucker. You can sell me something that's incomplete, broken, not polished, not optimized. You know, anybody that holds you accountable or is critical of those things, well, they're crying. You're just the inverse of the person that calls someone a shill when they say a game is good, right? You're just the other side of the brainless coin of the internet, right? There's a brainless coin on the internet, and it has two sides. On one side, if you like something or defend something, you're a shill. You're a paid shill and an apologist. The other side of that coin is if you're being critical of something or you're complaining about something, you are crying. You're a whiner. It's like, okay. It's like, just flip the coin. Where's it going to land? Nobody knows. It depends on what you're talking about. I literally have comments from people that say, all you do is cry. And then another day it'll be like, all you do is, you know, praise corporations. And it's like, okay, well, I think we know what's happening here. Homie said, I'm just going to throw away $60. Yeah, I mean, you know, for the sake of the game, the art, the story, and the gamer, I hope he gets a good product. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that he's going to. What if I'm a crybaby shill? That's right. What if you're both simultaneously? Schrodinger's shill. You know, you're both. I recently started playing Jedi Survivor because I did not buy it at launch due to all the issues, and I'm so glad I waited. Thrifty, it's such a good game. It's such a good game that I'm not going to spoil anything. The story developments and the story beats and the characters, there's so many good twists and turns and arcs. I loved it. I really, really did. Guys, we're close to 200 likes after the first hour. That is amazing. You guys are crushing it. That's part of the reason why this stream is actually having a nice bounce back. So thank you for doing that. Let's get 7 more. Let's hit 200 likes. We've already had 6 gifted. I'm sorry. We've had a couple gifted members today. We've had 3 from Stone Spire and 1 from Patrick Q. You guys are on pace. Well, you were on pace yesterday. You might fall off the horse today. We'll see. You guys have a decent road ahead of you for Friday night. And we were going to do unfiltered Jackbox community game night. And then if you guys go beyond that, somebody threw out the idea of a stretch goal. You can make my wife play Destiny. And we've also had a lot of you upgrading to Member Plus and above. That number is now at 481. We're just 19 away from a milestone there. And if we hit that milestone, I'll start doing... We had a lot of people say Friday nights are hard to get there, right? We could do something on Saturday afternoon so that way more people could show up. But that is going to be something we do that's extra and that does kind of infringe on family time. So that is going to be a milestone celebration if we do that. Can you expect the same quality for Outlaws? Yo, Bushin Ryu Cat, thank you for $1.50 super chat. I mean, it's a different developer and a different engine, Stone Spire. So, I look at Star Wars Outlaws and have similar concerns. Like, look at Star Wars Outlaws. What has happened? Initial trailer looks great. You know, initial feedback, oh, this game's going to be awesome. And now the more that we see and the more that we peel back the layers of the onion, we see a game that looks like it's going through what we call degradation. Well, that could be a handful of things. It could be coming to market too quickly, and they haven't had time to polish, so things just look rough around the edges. It could be because they attempted to build a game that's a mile wide and an inch deep. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening with Outlaws that could be concerning. People saying that, like, the space combat's not really even worth engaging with. It's kind of like a mini game. Well, that's a concern. When you have a game that features so many different ways to, so many different elements of the gameplay, you can end up with a jack of all trades and a master of none. And it does everything in a mediocre way, right? So that also, though, could be related to Disney and their timeline. Disney wanted, they said this a while ago, they wanted a new Star Wars game every 6 months. And the timeline for Star Wars Outlaws quite literally could be, it could have hurt production of the game. It could have hurt production of the game. It's like, no, get that out. We don't care. You know, look how Disney has treated the Star Wars property. They don't care. They will hire people to write and direct Obi-Wan who have a terrible resume. Why? They don't care. They're like, who's available? Get that crap out the door. Like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Get that crap out the door. We don't care if it's not ready. We don't care if there's optimization issues. We don't care if the PC version is in a terrible state. Just get it out the door. We need to make money. AOZ says PC has issues. Xbox being based on the same fundamental OS architecture means Xbox likely suffers from the same issues. Otherwise, it would have been easy to resolve the issues for the PC build. Yeah, and the PC build has been incredibly slow to have its problems rectified. I mean, the last patch they got for PC was in January, patch number 8, and it was like adding features. It wasn't even like an optimization or performance issue patch. They were adding like features for slow-mo and stuff. And then they said at the bottom very generically that like it addressed performance across all platforms, which across all platforms literally includes console. So it wasn't even like a PC-focused patch. But I thought PC gaming is better. I mean, it's better for some things, not better universally. Delay, we scheduled toys with McDonald's and commercials with the NBA. Just launch it, right, Jesse? It's just such a conglomerate of marketing focus that, you know, it becomes a severe issue because there's so many things tied to the release of something, you know? PC gaming is a lifestyle? I don't think it's a lifestyle. I think there's plenty of people who do PC gaming and don't view it that way. That's just where they like to play, you know. I think for a lot of people gaming is not a lifestyle. It's a hobby and something that they enjoy, you know. What is there an ad for on Xbox this guy's calling out? He says there's a they have a McDonald's ad on the homepage of Xbox. There's a breakfast deal. Hey man, you know, gotta sell that property, dude. I look at it like playing basketball. You and I could be in the same game, but my skill level is way above yours, but yet we are both enjoying it the same. We don't have to be on the same level to enjoy. For sure. For sure. The Doctor's Office with 23 months a member. Morning, everyone. In my opinion, Outlaws looks like a Mary Jane mission style of game wrapped in a Star Wars atmosphere. But I do think it will have bugs. Thank you for 23 months, Doctor's Office. And then Mike on the mic hits 29 months in a VIP. Guys, whenever you upgrade to Member Plus and above, you get to boost the goal when you renew. So Mike on the mic, thank you for doing that. It took them 8 patches to fix the console version, and it still doesn't even look that great. I mean, basically, they got it to where I described it as it was playable. You know? It was playable. Loch Ness left a comment on the video. It says, completed both Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. PS5 performance mode definitely had issues. Forced my way through, no pun intended, just to see how it ended. Great game, but comes at a price in performance. Yeah, agreed. It 100% is, it's worth playing. It's worth beating. But the price you pay is with performance. So, well, guys, we're an hour into the stream, and we don't. When certain topics, I'm not going to belabor the point and like make us talk about this situation. I've said my piece. If you want to continue asking about it or talking about it, you're free to do that. You can now use members only Q&A to do that. You can submit questions with the question command. You type !question, then just put a space and type your question. If you don't get a response from Nightbot, you may have to resubmit. So anytime you're getting ready to submit your question, highlight it and copy it before sending your message. So you can do a copy, paste, resubmit if you need to. Lone Wolf with a VIP says 2 more months until I acquire that red badge. Can't wait. As always, thanks for the content, Lone. I love the community that you have fostered here. Thank you guys so much. Slowly moving the member line today with renewals. Thank you guys for doing that. Don't forget to celebrate your renewals if you push that $ at the bottom of the chat. And those of you who have upgraded to Member Plus, appreciate you doing that. If you're jumping up out of the gifted member pool, that's like gifting a member. You're not just supporting the channel, you're giving up your gifted seat to somebody else and letting somebody else get that membership who might not be able to afford it. So thank you so much, everybody who has been both gifting members as well as those who have been supporting the channel directly with their own memberships as well. Both support. If you're like, man, I can't afford a membership, but I'm here every day, that supports as well. Smash like, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're chatting. We appreciate that very, very much. I played Survivor a couple of months ago on PlayStation 5, and I had no issues. Yeah, they largely fixed the issue. They did. They largely fixed the issues with it. It was in, what was it, April or May of last year, Garrett. So yeah, if you it's much more playable than it was initially, for sure. For sure. And guys, make sure your Detective Seeds, I think you're on the wrong account. It looks like you created a secondary account. You're going to need to be on your correct account if you're going to submit. Yeah. That way because the Nightbot won't grab the question unless you're a member. And Face 2012 with 32 months and a VIP bumps the line to 209. Let me start taking some questions here. Guys, this is a great time to become a member, upgrade a member, or gift a member, so that way we can get more people taking part in Q&A. And Release a Kraken says, will you be covering or playing Space Marine 2 when it launches? Yes, I will definitely be checking it out when it launches. We typically check out games like that day one to play them. I've already covered it. I voiced my concerns. I don't know if it requires a follow-up video right now. Positive feedback from previews is, to me, encouraging, but might not warrant a video just yet. We might want to wait for reviews or the actual game to release for me to circle back and cover it again. Dude with the drum set on a Member Plus renewal bumps the line. Winner, ribeye dinner. Thank you so much. Yeah, when you guys hit those Member Plus and above milestones, we will do IRL streams on the weekend or like another community game thing. I know a lot of you guys can't make it to Friday night, so I am willing to go that extra mile for you guys and to keep making that extra content for you. Pac-Man on a Bike submits a question. If there are people happy with their old-gen consoles, do you think they will even care or notice if the game comes with bad performance, or will it just be the norm for them? Well, here's the deal. You can't just overlook bad performance on old-gen. Cyberpunk is proof of this, right? Detective Siege, you're going to have to resubmit. Delta Boss getting his revenge. He manages to sneak one in past Detective Seeds. Delta Boss stole it from you. But to your question, Pac-Man on a Bike, asking, well, will old gen, will they even notice it? Here's the deal. They noticed it in Cyberpunk. When Cyberpunk came to old gen and looked and ran really poorly, they noticed it. Like, I don't think they'll overlook. Now, they might overlook like frame rate issues. They might overlook like hitching issues, and things like that, just because maybe, again, they're just not attuned to it. Maybe they just don't care, okay? And again, they're staying on old gen. That could be a choice. There could be any number of reasons why they're doing that. But I would say that Hogwarts Legacy proved that you can do this well. I will say that. Yeah. Hogwarts Legacy proved that you can do this well. You can bring a game to old gen and do it well. However, Hogwarts Legacy staggered the release of the game, so it was something that they were kind of like already planning on doing. And I'm not sure with Jedi Survivor that I trust them. I don't trust them. Their timeline, their release, the director saying they could have taken more time, but he didn't think they needed it. Yeah, I just don't trust them. I feel like they're lying for Disney. I feel like all of that was PR and not trustworthy. I think Disney wanted the game out. They were given a slight window of delay to help as much as they possibly could. And I don't know. Personally, I feel like he said what he did because he wanted to draw attention to the fact that, yeah, we could have delayed it, but we didn't. Well, why is that, right? I honestly feel like a lot of these guys try to say things, to signal things, so that the public can sort of be like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. The game clearly launched and wasn't ready. Why would you tell people in interviews that you could have taken more time and you opted not to? That sounds, again, I don't know the man, but it sounds like a lie. It sounds like a well-crafted lie in order for everybody's radar to pick it up and go, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Why would a director say that? That just seems backwards. It seems odd. So, Nathan C. says, have they said how much it's going to cost? Imagine it's going to look like hot garbage. I would imagine it would be 50 or 60. I don't think they're going to bring it for like 30 or 40 bucks. You know, it was a $70 full price game. So I could see them just rolling it out at 60. It's a Star Wars game after all, right? They're trying to make money, and they will make money. Welcome back, Nova Hands, as a member. You know, I would imagine that it'll be around 60, and people will buy it. That's why I wanted to make my video. I was like, no, don't support this. You know, everyone hold. Because if it doesn't run well, you're going to be stuck with it because it's coming to console. Like, this isn't like it's now deciding to come to PC. And I'm like, well, everybody, you know, kind of hold off because if it's bad, you could at least get a refund. Well, you can't do that on console. You know? Stonespire says, on the topic from Monday, do you think they're still polishing Avowed, or was it to avoid being run over with a bigger game? Oh, it's 50? Okay, thank you, Eugene. Okay, so it's not 60, it's 50. I mean, I said 50 or 60, but I thought, you know, it is Star Wars after all. I could see them charging 60. Okay, 50's not bad. At least it's, you know, had its price drop a little bit. Yo, Willie Kale renews a member plus and bumps the line to 211. If you guys are trying to upgrade to member plus, there is an upgrade command. And it'll take you to the page where it allows you to either click to see perks or change level, whatever it says. If you're on an iPhone, you basically have to use a web browser on a computer or on your phone and avoid opening the app. Oh, it looks like even for the 50, you get a couple things with it. You get a Hermit cosmetic and lightsaber set and a combustion blaster set. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this question about Avowed from Stonespire. Listen, I think in general, what's going on with Avowed is something that, you know, Xbox fans should consider. They're not worried about your backlog. They're worried about Game Pass. I said this morning in Morning Coffee. You know, the roadmap they trotted out in 2022 that was nothing more than a lie. Like more than half the games didn't make it. It was just a lie. The roadmap that they concocted the year following, most of the games didn't show up on time. Actually, no, in 2023, they completely avoided the roadmap because of what happened in 2022. And now, once again, we're being faced with a showcase and a roadmap. It gets everybody excited, and then games start getting delayed, whether it's Stalker or Avowed. And the reason they do the roadmaps and the reason they're delaying, you know, Avowed has nothing to do with the consumer, and it has nothing to do with your backlog. They want you to stay on Game Pass. It's been 4 years of missed deadlines and games coming out that aren't ready. It is. We end up talking more about showcases and roadmaps than we do games, right? Instead of talking about what a great cadence, man. What a great cadence with Hi-Fi, Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport. No, nobody talks about that. You know, Starfield got a ton of attention from people, but that was a very split game with respect to opinions. Redfall, disaster. Forza Motorsport, incomplete, absolute joke. Hi-Fi Rush was great, and then they closed the studio, so what does it matter? So it's like the roadmap is what people are talking about. It's like, well, we're about to eat good. We're about to eat good. I said this morning. If you starve people enough, a menu is going to be exciting to them. It's like a menu is going to be exciting to you. Just pictures of food is going to be exciting if you starve people enough. And that's what I feel like these roadmaps are. To me, it's like the roadmap is quite literally there so that you don't drop Game Pass. It's why when they trotted out the roadmap, they were like, oh, this is what we're doing with Avowed to help your backlog breathe. Really? Well, when's Indiana Jones coming out? Why won't you tell me the release date for that? Why are so many? Why are a handful of these games TBA? What's the deal here? Why are some of the games on the roadmap PC only? It's, again, you're selling people an idea. You're selling people an idea, and the idea is you wait until you're about to eat good. You're about to eat good, and it's like, okay, maybe. The first 4 years of Xbox this gen has been freaking abysmal, and my hope is everything starts next year, right? It's so cliche to be like, wait until, but, you know, Chapter 2 could be significantly better than Chapter 1, because the first half of this gen has been really bad for them. But next year, we have Doom, we have Avowed, we have Fable. Like, next year could be the year that we say, all right, this is it. This is the cadence and the quality that we want to see. Personally, I think Avowed is going to get very, very mid-level mediocre response. I don't think Avowed's going to blow people out of the water. I think people will praise it for the RPG elements, but I think the combat and the gameplay are going to be more mid-level for a lot of people. They're going to be like, you know, that's where I feel Avowed's going to land. Fable, no idea. They won't show us genuine raw gameplay. They keep showing us simulated gameplay. You know, Doom will probably be a banger, always is, and it's multi-plat. So they have to nail it because they're trying to sell it. So yeah, I saw the Outlaws roadmap. Yeah, it's an interesting approach, but it's a classic Ubi approach. They've been doing the roadmap DLC season pass thing for a long, long time. It's always the next year. Yeah, it's always the next year. It's always the next year. Instead of ending with a banger last year and everybody being like, oh my gosh, Forza Motorsport, what a great game that was. No, it was embarrassing. It was an embarrassing, another pile of broken promises and graphical degradation. And everybody wanted to hand wave and be like, but look at the Metacritic score. Yeah, let's ignore the user score. Xbox users obliterated it, and so did Steam. So what are we even talking about? Citizen JV says, what do you think the story will be like in the next Star Wars Jedi game? My hope is that Trilla is alive and they bring her back center stage and that her and Cal work together. I would love to have two playable protagonists with different fighting styles. I think that'd be a way to ratchet up the game. You could really have her tapping into, you know, powers and things that Cal is hesitant about. And then it could really cement him on the light side of the Force. I think that could be an amazing game. And then I don't know where they go beyond that, because they've got to be careful. They can't step on the toes of canon. There's a lot of things they kind of have to work with. There's a framework they have to work within, but that's what I would love to see that. I would love to see Trilla, you know, make a comeback. I think she has one of the best arcs in the first game. She is a prime example of what happens when you let good writing and a good character just sort of drive the story. She has one line, it's 2 words, and it's probably one of the best moments in the game. So, Vader striking down Inquisitor and not killing them sounds on brand. Darth Maul gets cut in half. Do you have an issue with that? I mean, Darth Maul's still around. Darth Maul? I mean, come on now. Everybody's cool with that, you know. I'll admit the TV shows have gotten a little inconsistent. For one, you know, one person gets stabbed and they're fine, another person gets stabbed and they die. That's fair. Darth Maul got cut in half and came back, so we can sort of allow for a really good character to get pushed back into the frame. She doesn't even really, you don't even really see her die. He just goes wham. She's the lesser threat at that point, and he moves on to Seer and Cal. So Delta Boss says, played Survivor last night on the Series S. Severe audio clipping and lag, apparently due to a patch back in February. Who does that fall on? The devs or the Xbox poor console? Oh, both. You know, both. It falls on the devs to push out a patch that causes issues. It falls on them, but it also falls on Xbox. Like, I've said this before. It wasn't all these third-party developers, like, it's not their responsibility to make up for Xbox's mistake. The Series S was a mistake. It was. It was a misjudgment. It was lied about. It was marketed to such a false degree that they've now hidden one of the videos. They don't want people to see it. You know, the guy that was always talking about it, he vanished into thin air. I mean, you talk about selling people a bill of goods. Series S is nothing more than a lie. And it's not third-party developers' responsibility to pay that price. So it's both. It's like the developers pushed out a patch and made things worse. Well, they should have made sure it was ready. But then it's also on Xbox. And a 5-bomb from Silent Spartan takes us to 216. This is always a great time to gift members, guys. We pull people in to the members-only Q&A that we're doing right now. And Lido bumps the line to 217, renews that member plus, and says, KOTOR remake might save Star Wars if it ever happens, right? I would not buy Star Wars Jedi Survivor on Steam until after they patch it next month, and we'll see what the results are. Right now, it has a bad score on Steam, and people are reporting that it still has fundamental issues with performance. So, Detective Seeds with the question. If you had one game to be fully remade with today's tech, what would it be? If I could remake one game with today's tech, what would it be? I don't even know. I don't know how much today's tech would benefit Super Metroid. That was the first one I could think of. Can you imagine that game looking at like the graphical level of like Ori? I think of Super Metroid. I don't have a lot of nostalgic attachment to a lot of the games I played back then because I know that they wouldn't stand the test of time. You know, like GoldenEye. You can play that right now on Xbox. It's good. It's fun. It's enjoyable. But it doesn't stand the test of time because at its core, it's an old game. You know? Quake 3 and Wolfenstein 3D and Unreal Tournament. I just don't care about games like that anymore. Like PvP arena shooters, and I just don't care. You know? Now, I could see, on topic, somebody says bring back Starkiller. I could see giving Force Unleashed 1 and 2 another pass and really, really upping it. Now, that would just be a remake, though. I don't know, because like Force Unleashed 2 was pretty bad. The first one was amazing. The second one was bad. It was short and rushed and bad. Star Fox? Yeah, maybe Star Fox. He said remake, not remaster. Yeah, but a remake doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to change fundamental aspects of the game. Like, there were just issues with Force Unleashed 2 that I wouldn't want to interact with again. I thought some of the fights were really dumb. But, you know, the first one was excellent. I'm not against nostalgia. I think properly leveraged, I think nostalgia can be really effective when it shows up. But in general, I don't do this, and this is probably why when people are like, gaming is terrible, it used to be so much better, these games are overpriced, I just see right through that. I think that's just so hollow. It's just hollow. It's like, yeah, games that last 6 to 10 hours and had the had the development budget of like an indie title. You know, oh, we got games back then, they were complete. And it's like we buy games that have entire universes in them now, and we moan and complain about how they're not any good. You know, it's like I don't buy into that cynicism. And 3 single gifteds come in from Stone Spire. He's trying to set up a 5-bomb dunker to 220, and then I'll have to give 5. He's wanting to see it. I haven't had a gift yet today. I appreciate you, Stone Spire. Yeah, you know what's funny is I would pick Bloodborne. I would pick a game that I haven't played. Does that make sense? Like, rather than pick a game that I've played that I have a fond memory of, like, I have no desire to replay GoldenEye or Quake 3 or even Super Metroid. It'd be like, no, just make a modern day, really awesome Metroid game. Like, I want a Metroidvania Metroid. Metroid Dread was more like Metroid Fusion, and I want more of a Metroidvania Metroid. I want it to be more like, you know, Ori and the Blind Forest or something like that. And Silent Spartan with the 20 bomb says, I'll dunk one better than that. And he takes us to 240. He sets up a layup of a 10 bomb. We'll see. That is all wrapped in one. That's a layup. That's an Agent of Chaos. That's all of it, dude. That is a huge, huge member bomb. I now owe you guys 5 members, and we're 10 away from the next one. Thank you very much. Always good to see people sharing that, man. We've been if MASH doesn't show up, man, it's been like you guys have been really letting that man carry the torch. So thank you, Spartan. I appreciate that. Poor MASH. Poor MASH. And a 10 bomb. And a 10 bomb from Silent Spartan. He says, I'll dunk it home myself. And he gets us to the halfway point all by himself. The weekly goal is halfway there. I always love this question to see what brains people start picking up. I'm telling you, Detective Seeds, I would pick a game I haven't played. I thoroughly enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2 remaster because I never played it, right? And so I got to enjoy it at like next-gen graphical fidelity. I rolled credits on it last night. I have issues. I do. I liked it. I see why it won Game of the Year, but I'm critical of some things that they did. In any case, yeah, I would pick something like Bloodborne. Yeah, give me Bloodborne with today's technology, because I haven't played Bloodborne and I would love to play it at that level. That would be awesome. So to me, I would pick a game I've never played, and I think Bloodborne would be at the top of the list. So that's my answer. Yeah. Game was 5 hours too long. Boy, they belabored the point at the end, and it got so Last of Us trope. It got just Last of Us trope. Oh, let me guess. Everything's getting on. We're finally going to get resolution, and I'm going to crawl through an area and get punched and attacked, aren't I? Yep, there it is. Sure. All right. Well, now I'm back with this character, and now this character is going to try and figure this situation out, and whoop, here we go. I got grabbed and injured. Like, they dialed in their own tropes. I got irritated at the end. I knew it was so bad that I knew what was coming. It was like I knew what was coming. I saw every plot development in that game before it happened because I knew it was coming. It was like, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do. This character is going to walk out of this door and get attacked. This character is going to get attacked too. This character is going to fight their way to this character. I saw it all coming. I saw it a mile away. I did not think the ending was I thought the ending was set up in a way where it was like, you guys have played this card too many times. You've played this card too many times. It was predictable, and I didn't enjoy it. I thought the ending was predictable and boring. Yeah, I finished it. Absolute crash landing. Incredibly disappointed in how Naughty Dog landed that plane. Predictable. I could see everything from a mile away, and I didn't go read spoilers. I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea what was going to happen. No idea. I was just annoyed. I was like, I just want this to be over. You guys absolutely drug this out, and you just keep doing something that you've done 1,000 times before. It's about to get good. Just kidding. You walked through a doorway and someone grabbed you. You know, the number of times you walk through a doorway in The Last of Us and someone goes, that's going to be a little bit of a blip. We just switched ingest servers. It's like how every game you jump to climb and the thing breaks and you almost fall. Can we stop doing that? Every game does it. It's not intense. It's predictable. It's been done 1,000 times before. Stop it. Stop doing that. It's like, yep, I'm going to jump and grab this thing, and at some point in this climb, it's going to break, and I'm going to almost fall. It's not scary. It's annoying. It happens all of the time. Yeah, I yelled right before the blip. I yelled right before the blip. It's phenomenal. Well, I owe you guys a 10 bomb. Smash like. I'm going to do the 10 bomb now. That tends to help sometimes bounce back the viewership because blips always hurt us. Yeah. I did not like that ending at all. No. Yeah. Weak, predictable. It just 18 Naughty Dog Last of Us tropes piled on top of each other before credits rolled. It was like, wow, okay. Compelling story with amazing tension, and then you're like, let's do another 2.5 hours of stuff we've done before. Like, all right. I felt the exact opposite, Anthony. I felt the exact opposite. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. Thank you so much. PB ordered the Best of Both Worlds. Guys, the Best of Both Worlds is on sale right now. A great way to support the channel if you're a coffee drinker. You're already buying coffee, right? You're already buying coffee. And this is a great way to support what we do. Go to reforgeroast.com. This is property owned by me, Reforge Gaming, Reforge Media. And right now, if you want to try our light roast and our dark roast, the Best of Both Worlds is on sale. $30, and you get 2 bags. You get a bag of the light and the dark. If you've never tried coffee before with balanced acidity, then check out reforgeroast.com. That is not a sponsor. That is mine. My wife and kiddos ship it to you guys. It supports me and the channel directly. And yes, that is a great way to support us. My wife spilled her coffee this morning. Sorry, babe. Can't make any more right now. Never wanted to kill. Eugene, that's how I felt. I did not like Ellie at the end. I was so ticked off at her. I was like, okay, I get it. And I thought the big twist, which would have been significantly better than what they did, the big twist would have been, I came all this way to end it, but not in the way that you were expecting. It should have been that. Instead of forcing her to fight and putting a knife to the kid's throat, I was like, frick you, Ellie. I hope Abby wins. That was my attitude. I didn't even want to fight. I didn't even want to bash the button and dodge and punch. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted Abby to win at that point. I was like, frick you, Ellie. That was my attitude. I did not like how they did that. I couldn't have been more disappointed in what they did. I couldn't have been more disappointed. Yeah, I know a lot of people were disappointed, like they wanted to kill Abby. No, I was the exact opposite. I was like, it's time to end this in the right way. Don't you see how stupid this has all been? Don't you see what's happened? You've gotten all these people around you maimed or killed or injured. I hated that. I was like, this is stupid. Tommy gets jacked up. Your girlfriend almost dies. Jesse dies. I'm like, get the frick out of here, Ellie. I didn't like the ending at all. They just made me dislike Ellie, which I thought was irritating. It's like, you make me play as her, I believe in her, I'm in her corner, then you rip the band-aid off, you make me play as Abby. It's not fun to play as Abby in the beginning. Then you end up liking playing as Abby, you end up liking Abby, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh my gosh, this cycle has been terrible, and then they make Ellie an idiot. Frick off, Naughty Dog. I did not like it. Did not like it. Was very disappointed. And I felt like they dialed in too many Naughty Dog tropes. Too many. Sunlight's about to break. Everything's going to get better for this character. And they go to do something and they get attacked. No, just kidding. You know, here comes Ellie. She's going to save the day. Nope, just kidding. She gets really injured too. Oh, just get out of here. Just get out of here. Predictable. I knew what was going to happen when Abby stood down. When Abby stood down. When Abby was going to kill Dina, I knew that. I saw that coming 1,000 miles away. I was like, oh, let me guess. Lev's going to put a stop to what Abby ultimately plans to do. Because I know that Abby basically has Tommy at gunpoint as well as Ellie. And let me guess. Lev's going to be there. And Lev's going to be like, no, don't. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Anyway, I like the game. I totally saw why it won Game of the Year. I think it has one of the best combat systems in a game ever. The dynamic emergent combat, the sound design. There's so much about that game that is excellent. But boy, oh boy, do I not like what they did with the story at all. And not for any of the reasons that people hated on it. You know, oh, they let a trans person kill Joel. Abby's not trans. And Joel got what was coming to him. You know, that was fine. I think that was the right gut punch, but that's not why I dislike the story. Hamburglar says, do you think the PS4 version of Jedi Survivor would run significantly better on the PS5 than the PS5 version? I absolutely have. I don't know. I mean, this commonly happens with game. Well, not commonly. This has happened with a couple of games. It happens with Elden Ring. So there's a possibility that, yeah, it'll turn off all those features and it'll run better, you know? It'll the irony being, if Ellie does nothing, Abby dies anyway, which is exactly why I hated Ellie at the end. I hated what she did. It was stupid. As soon as it started, I was like, I literally said, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? I barely make it here, blood, sweat, and tears, cut you down, he gets rescued too, and this is your choice? Because you saw blood on your hands. Get the frick out of here, Ellie. I hated that. Stupid. At that moment, she should have turned around. There should have been a poignant moment of a well-written dialogue about how I have to let this go. And I had to come and find you in order to do that. I had to say I was in the position to kill you and I didn't do it in order to let this go. And instead, she forces her to fight. That's so stupid. It was stupid. I was furious. When she went to her boat, I was like, here it comes. Here it comes. It's going to be some great dialogue. No. Just Ellie being a moron. I was ticked. Incredibly unsatisfying. In my opinion, I thought it was incredibly unsatisfying. It did not feel like a crescendo. It felt like, yeah, well, everybody's awful. Everybody's awful. Everybody sucks. Everybody's an idiot. Cool, man. Like, that's why I stopped watching Mad Men. It's like everybody was reprehensible and irredeemable. It's like, why am I watching this? Everyone's horrible. Why? I don't care. I don't want to watch a show like this. Literally waited through blood to get there, but now that it's on her hand, she's like, nah. Yeah. Here's a question from The Gentle Killer. Will you be playing Black Ops 6 at all? It looks sweet. Last Treyarch game was in 2020 with Cold War. I'm hoping that they have cooked up something great. I think that Black Ops 6 is going to be record-breaking. I think the story looks awesome, so I do plan on playing the story beginning to end. I will stream it at least once. Typically, we don't stream entire playthroughs. We're not really set up for that. Maybe one day we'll be able to unify our memberships, and then we can, have like a Let's Play channel or something. But for now, I don't have a place for that. Because I'm pacing things right now that might give us a way to potentially do that. But it would just have to be, I just have to continue to get better and better at writing and recording videos in a more expeditious way. It's why I was able to finish The Last of Us Part 2. And I've just been experimenting with some things. I just want to test it for a couple of weeks to see if it's even possible. But it may not happen this year. It may be like a distant thing. But in any case, I would love a way to start housing gameplay with you guys and also just being able to react to things and be like, oh, that was cool, that was bad, whatever. I would have loved to have had a live audience when I finished that game because I was freaking livid. I was livid, boys. So yes, I think Black Ops 6 is going to crush. The Space Marine 2 previews are looking great. Seems their decision to cancel the beta and buckle down is paying off. I mean, I guess my only concern is that we're all dealing with PC reviews. So, great. I hope they were able to work out any performance issues on console, because, like, right now, what we're dealing with is that games, seemingly multiplayer games, are running better on console than PC, right? That's been happening fairly consistently. So if it's running really well on PC, that gives me some hope that, like, okay, they figured out optimization. It's going to run well on console as well. So, yeah. Novahan says, do you think it is more of an indictment on the original release date of Survivor now that they are saying, hey, we can optimize this on old gen? I mean, I think there's a lot going on there, right? It's like, hey, you guys should have waited. You guys could have waited and had a massive launch for this freaking game. You could have launched it on PC, next gen, and old gen. You could have hit every platform. You know? Yeah, I don't know if they were blips. Guys, do me a quick favor. This stream has been scrappy. We've been fighting and making it work. Smash that like button if you have not yet already. If you've been lurking and listening and you forgot to go through your ritual, take a real quick second and double check that you have given the video a thumbs up. Consider celebrating your membership renewal if you're Member Plus and above. It helps with the goal. We've made the goal easier to hit by doing that. And then if you have not yet upgraded to Member Plus, you can do that and it helps as well. And then you can gift members. Now's a great time to gift members because this is a members-only Q&A segment that we have brought back, and people seem to really enjoy it. Bushin Ryukat says, when you're trimming that magnificent face hair of yours, do you put a keep out sign on the door? Follow-up, do you do a Keanu Reeves impression in the mirror? Well, to the first question, no, I don't do that. I don't put a sign on the door. But I do it once a week. On Sunday, I don't take a razor to my face. I don't. On Sunday, I take this off. This is all, this is before church. Got to look nice for church, right? And then I trim my lines here. So, Crispy Bogod with the VIP and really close to 3 years of membership and bumps the line to 251. That's Agent of Chaos setting us up for the next milestone of 275, where I would have to gift another 5 members. Finally going to try Jedi Survivor on the PS5 summer sale, 50% off. Hey, that's a great deal. It really is a good game. Yeah, it really is. Silent Spartan says, did you ever finish Shadow of the Erd Tree? No, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really plan on it. I just don't really plan on it. I saw a lot of the fights that were awaiting me, and I just don't care for it. I don't care for how Elden Ring makes things difficult. I don't enjoy it. I would rather replay Sekiro than finish Erd Tree. I got past Mesmer. Without looking up any guides or anything. I just kind of figured it out, and it was really satisfying. But I have very limited playtime right now. My playtime is going to get even more limited with the soccer season starting. I'm head coaching both my son's team and my daughter's team. And then church is starting back up again as well for me on Wednesdays. So it's like my schedule is about to be insane. And if I'm going to sit down and play a game for like a little bit, it'll be like Cult of the Lamb co-op with my wife. Or I'm trying to get her back into Deep Rock Galactic. She didn't like it the first time we played it, but I went in last night and looked at every system, every terminal, and really figured out a lot of the systems, and I got kind of hooked. I was like, yo, this game is sick. And I'm trying to get her to kind of come back in. So I look at Erdtree and I'm like, it's beautiful. It's a cool game. I went back in. I had a good time with it. And Mesmer showed me enough of what I needed to see to be like, I don't want to go any further. I know that I won't enjoy it. I won't. You know, I'm at the point where I don't play games to prove anything with respect to like pride or ego. I play games for fun. And if I'm not having fun, I put down the game. You know, I'd rather go back and play Remnant 2, honestly. Remnant 2 is on my backlog. I would much rather go back and play Remnant 2 than finish Erdtree. So I saw clips of the fights. I saw clips of those bosses. And I'm like, yeah, I know I could dig in and eventually figure this out, or, you know, stream it with you guys and co-op it up and pull people in. You know, maybe we could make that an incentive. But the problem is I don't know where I am. I don't know where the next boss is. I just am like, yeah, I just don't care. I just don't care. You know? I can't wait to play. I hope Outlaws is good enough to warrant a completion. I think the Black Ops 6 campaign looks like it's going to be a blast. I would much rather play Space Marine 2 co-op with you guys when it comes out because it looks really good. There's just so much more I would rather play right now. I never really truly vibed with Elden Ring in a complete way. It's like I love the opening, really didn't like the back half. Like with Erdtree, it was like, yeah, this is annoying. Okay, let me try a different build. Let me be more open to summoning and co-op, and maybe that'll change my perspective. And it did, but I largely just... I'll tell you what. If I had long play sessions in the afternoon right now, if I could play for 3 or 4 hours and just hang out with you guys, I would have finished Erdtree with you. I would have. That's just not in the cards right now. So when I get done with my day and I'm done with dinner and the kids are in bed and I sit down to the television and I have 1 hour, that is the last game I want to play. It's like, no, I don't want to play that. I can get to a new checkpoint in a game like The Last of Us. You know, I can move along in a story. I'd rather go back and finish Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong's right around the corner. If I'm going to play a game with challenging combat, you know, I feel like Black Myth Wukong looks like a nice mixture of you know, action adventure, you know, like God of War, but also some Souls, but not quite as insane as like, you know, Erdtree. Lone Wolf. Now that Game Informer is done, what outlet do you think Dragon Age is going to use for the rest of their marketing? They'll probably pivot to IGN, I would think. IGN bought a whole lot of outlets as well. I've been thinking about this actually, the state of gaming press. And I don't quite know what to do about it. I don't know if maybe we could take things by the reins and really, really push for a higher caliber of gaming journalism, because we've got a community here and a Discord here, and we can usually very quickly vet claims and research things, and we can put together, I think, pretty good content and pretty good shows as like a collective of people. I don't have like a team of people to research something. So usually my videos are, you know, a day late. Not a day late, they're like a day after something hits, and I've got to put quite a bit of work into the research, and that tends to slow down recording and production. So I'm tending to steer away from videos like that. It's like, I don't have time for that, you know? But then I watched some upper echelon stuff today, and I love how well-researched his content is. Same with CoffeeZilla. And I'm like, man, you know, if I could find a way to do that maybe once a week, I just don't know. Again, I deal with such a tight schedule right now. Like every bucket is full. It's like I give, you know, morning coffee to members, then the upload that, you know, that happened the previous day, then the live stream, then the writer's room. Okay, now I got to write the next monologue. Now I got to record the next video. You know, now I got to go do this. Now I got to do it. So basically, I sort of feel like a pinball throughout the day. It's like I go from this to this to this to this to this to this to this, and someone's like, "Oh, it'd be great if you could do this," and I'm like, "I agree with you. I would love to do that." And then I look at the schedule and I'm like, I don't know where I'd put that, right? So I have been thinking about that. I don't think we've seen the end of gaming news outlets shutting down. I think there's going to be a bit of a vacancy coming soon. So James Wolfgang with 27 months of membership moves the line to 252. Thank you so much for doing that. I could tell you weren't really vibing with Elden Ring. You just didn't have that same vibe that you did with Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro. Yeah, it just isn't for me, you know. And maybe, you know, I smell a team up. Oh, I don't know who I would team up with, you know. I don't know. People have gone to great lengths to make me, you know, radioactive and unliked, right? You know, there's a lot of people that have attempted to make, you know, people not want to work with me, and that's fine. I tend to actually do better. The more you insulate me, and the more you don't let me as a, you know, a part of your club or whatever, the more interesting and compelling I become. That happened with Destiny. They did the same thing, and it didn't work then. When you start circling the wagons and signaling me out, there was another community that tried that, and it didn't work. Right? They had to concoct something else for it to work. Too many outlets, TBH. Yeah, I mean, there are quite a bit. I mean, that might help if we strip it down to only a handful, but that, you know, that obviously stinks for, you know. Still hoping for a Colin Lono collab. Oh, yeah, I would love to work with Moriarty. I really, really respect what he does. So, and I obviously could shoot him an email, but I don't even know right now. I'd feel bad. I'd like email him like, well, my schedule's really tight, so I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? If he was kind enough to afford me that. Like, Jaffe was even willing to come on, and we're trying to think of a good topic for Jaffe and I to bat around, because I think that could be fun. Citizen JV says, have you played the remastered version of Star Wars Bounty Hunter? I have not, and I don't really have any interest in doing that. Lone Wolf says, would you rather go back to Erdtree or Lies of P? Lies of P. Lies of P's more my jam because of the perfect parry. Is very much like Sekiro. But the swamp monster just, again, it's like I only have an hour, and I don't feel like beating my head against a boss that puts AoE and dot damage everywhere, you know? Hey, Lono, been a while. Good to see you, Andrew. Hope you're well. We don't need massive media structures for information anymore. Losing Game Informer sucks, but there's just too many of them, especially when devs and publishers can just post blogs. That's fair. Stonespire gifts a member and takes it to 253. I know what Stonespire's going to do. He's going to try to take this to 255. He's hoping for the 20 bomb to 275. Stonespire, you better put out a big bat signal. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to come to your beck and call today. I'm just going to take it to 255. If somebody's ready and willing and able, man, he's hoping for that 20 bomb dunker. But yeah, thank you for the third gifted Stonespire. You're the frickin' man. To answer the question about, you know, Lies of P or Erdtree, I would much rather go back to Lies of P. It's more of my jam. But again, I just have limited game time right now. You know, I would much rather boot up Cult of the Lamb next week and play co-op with my wife instead of like, well, let's see if I can't figure out this frickin' swamp monster, you know? I think when you have limited game time, you just start to be more picky than when, like, a lot of the streamers, and when I was streaming, I didn't have to be as picky. It was like, oh, I've got 4 hours at the end of every day that I can just play a game because I'm not having to worry about an upload. I'm not having to worry about researching and writing a monologue. So my content flow has evolved so much because we're just making way more content than I ever have in my life. I don't think I've ever made this much content. Even when I was, you know, at the height of Destiny, I wasn't making this much. You know, it was a daily stream and then like a video and Q&A. And now it's morning coffee, upload, daily stream, writer's room. Then I got to make the upload for the next day. And it's just like, it's a more difficult rhythm, I think, to slide gameplay into. So, Generic Eric says, good morning, Lono. I hope all is well. Do you think there will be a sequel for Jedi Survivor? With them announcing the last gen version, it makes me wonder if the story still has some life. At the end of the game, they undeniably leave it wide open for a nice, great third game, for sure. Yeah, I think they could do amazing things with the story. I think they could do amazing things with the story. Some guy just left a comment on my Helldivers video, and he said, bro was right. Yeah, they all came for my head, and now they're going to come crawling back and be like, when I said that update wasn't going to be enough, they're going to be like, I'm going to say, you were right, bro. You were right. Just finished Lies of P a few days ago. Amazing. Can't wait for the DLC, which is supposed to come out this year. Yeah, I love the art style of Lies of P. I think that I don't think they got enough credit. I thought the press got that one wrong. They criticized it for empty reasons. All right, last question before we go to Writer's Room. You guys got 5 minutes. Push that like count up to 300. Push the member count. And we're going to take this last question here from Dave Langer. What do you think about Warner Brothers reportedly looking to sell its video games division? I don't see any evidence of this from anybody reputable. I mean, did anybody reputable report on this? That Warner Brothers is looking to sell their video game division? I saw people claiming that Xbox was looking to do it, and then they misspelled fear on the thing. And a 50 bomb from Silent Spartan! Holy moly! Taking us past 300. That's an Agent of Chaos 50 bomb. I don't know if we've seen a 50 bomb in a while, ensuring that we stay on pace for Friday. Unbelievable amount of support for the channel today from Silent Spartan. That is 80 members alone. Just from him, I owe you guys a 10 bomb. That was crazy. Insane. We'll see if Spartan can get a tag team partner, because we're now a 20 bomb away from 325. Unbelievable. What a leapfrog. They're looking to sell a stake, not the division itself, and no one has any sources on potential buyers. So they're not looking to sell. They're looking to sell a stake? Yeah, that's not what everybody was claiming. Everybody was claiming that Warner Brothers is looking to sell and that Xbox might be the one to buy them. And I'm like, you guys misspelled fear on your little fake Photoshopped thing. Oh, did MASH drop a 50? Yeah, MASH might have dropped a 50 yesterday. Was that yesterday or last week? I feel like it's... No. MASH did drop a 50 yesterday, I believe. All right, well, Silent Spartan stepping up. He's stepping up. Yeah, the engine for Space Marine 2 is literally called the Swarm Engine. It's like proprietary technology that lets them make all those enemies swarm like that. So, crazy. Crazy. That has been completely hijacked by the gifted members. Guys, if you got a gifted member from Silent Spartan, be sure to say thank you. And you can upgrade for $1 and help us hit our goal of member plus and above at 500. We're only 18 away from that goal. So help us hit that goal. To be fair, MASH dropped to 50 yesterday. Okay, that's my bad. I thought MASH was dropping 20s yesterday. It blends together. I didn't mean to take that away from him. MASH has been carrying the member count on his back lately. The dude's a champion. I forgot that he dropped to 50 yesterday. I heard Tencent might be interested. If it's just a stake, I mean, I don't have much of an opinion on that other than I hope that it doesn't end up getting absorbed into one of these big conglomerates, because it's been bad. Embracer Group's been bad for the gaming market. I think Microsoft's bad for the gaming market. I don't think they're additive. They're destructive. I do. I think both Microsoft and Embracer and all those big conglomerates trying to buy up studios and developers, I think it's terrible for the gaming community, and it's terrible for the devs. It's terrible for all of us. We don't benefit from it. We lose. We lose studios. We lose projects. We get less. It's not additive. Microsoft's acquisition has led to less games coming to the market, not more. If anybody, Embracer Group and all their acquisitions over the years, all it's leading to is less games coming to the market, right? Because they got into an unstable position and had to start selling off and closing down studios. So, no, I don't want anybody scooping up and buying Warner Brothers. If it's some kind of a stake, again, I hope that it doesn't turn into a controlling ownership stake where all of a sudden you end up getting less product and less games, I don't want Amazon to do it. I don't want Google to do it. Nobody should be out here cheering for acquisitions. The people cheering for acquisitions are doing so because they're committed to fandom. They're not committed to anything that's intelligent. It's all intellectually bankrupt. It is. I don't care anymore. I really don't. If that upsets people and gets clipped and put into videos, good. I hope they know that most people with any formal education will look at that level of acquisition and say, none of this is for the consumer, and cheering for it's stupid. It really is. If you want to invest in studios and you want to get exclusivity, or you want to invest in projects, so be it. But buying up entire publishing or collections of studios just to like close them down or shut things down or shave things off, people cheering for that don't know what they're doing. They're basically standing next to Wile E. Coyote telling them to saw the branch faster. Like, you're standing on something that's going to fall. This is not good for anybody. It's good. I mean, it's good for shareholders. And it's good for, it was good for Lulu Chang, You guys remember Lulu Chang? Everybody loved her, tweeting at her, calling her queen, a union busting person that is now gone. Good job, everybody. Good job. Is Lulu Chang still your friend? Is she? Maybe she could come back. Help them buy some more studios so you guys can all slobber at her on Twitter. And then she can leave again once they get the payout. Freaking embarrassing. All right, let me set this up. Writer's room is where we're headed. Did I do the 10 bomb? No, I owe you guys a 10 bomb, right? I haven't. Have I done it? Let me make sure. No, I owe you guys another 10 bomb. Give me 1 second here. Anti-labor union buster that took her bag and ran. Yeah. Oh, man. It's comical at this point, looking back at how all that played out. Just freaking comical. Yeah. Put me in your videos now. Let's see. CEO of CrowdStrike. Yo, it's good, Nitro Fusion. All right, let me give you guys a link to the writer's room. Okay. I don't think anything's going to come from the FTC. The FTC doesn't have... I don't think they have a case. They're just going to lose again. They don't have a case. They're just going to lose again. All right, the link in chat is the writer's room. This is for members. This is for all members. Hey, thanks for being a member. You may have gotten a gifted member. You may be paying for your own. And we're really, really close to the Member Plus and Above goal of 500 people at Member Plus and Above. We're like 19 away. So if you're one of the lucky ones to get a gifted membership, you can upgrade that just for $1. Go to the membership tab and click on See Perks or Change Level, and it should let you do that. It's $1 more. And anybody that does that, you're making room for somebody else to get it gifted. That's basically like gifting a membership every month. And it does help us with this whenever you renew every month. So thank you to everybody who's been doing that. And a huge, huge day from Silent Spartan. And I gifted the ones that I owed. So you guys are well on pace to hitting your goal for Friday night game night. And the stretch goal will have my wife playing Destiny. So we'll see if that can actually happen this week. We will see. I'm going to end the previous stream about Jedi Survivor. And I'm going to change that thumbnail. That game continues to be an